Good afternoon, shalom. Welcome everybody to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. You know what we do here every Monday to Thursday. We bring you those top stories making headlines in Israel and the region with myself, Rolene Marks. So welcome to it if this is your first time visiting us. But let's take a look at those top stories. And a U.S. State Department spokesman has said that the Biden administration supports Israel in efforts against BDS. In fact, his statement said that the Biden administration firmly rejects the BDS movement because it unfairly singles out Israel. Now, while he did not comment on the ongoing Ben and Jerry's saga, and more about that in a second, he did go on to say the United States will be a firm partner in fighting efforts around the world that seek to delegitimize the state of Israel. Now, that is exactly what BDS does. This is the boycott, divestment and sanctions movement does. It aims to instill boycotts like the one that Ben and Jerry's is attempting to do in what they are calling occupied Palestinian territories, what many regard as disputed territories, which will see both Jews and Palestinians denied their chunky monkey or truffle kerfuffle or whatever their favorite ice cream flavor is. But in all seriousness, this could also impact the local manufacturer, which is based in the south of Israel's license to manufacture. In fact, that comes up for renewal at the end of 2022, and they could let this expire. If this happens, it could put hundreds of Israelis and Palestinians out of work. However, the ambassador to the United States and the United Nations from Israel, Gilad Erdan, has contacted over 30 of the governors of various states that have adopted anti-BDS legislation, asking for them to enact this legislation. He says that this anti-Semitic decision will have consequences. Now, in a conversation yesterday with the Unilever CEO, our Prime Minister Naftali Bennett also reiterated that there is no way that this decision by Ben & Jerry's, which although owned by Unilever, operates independently, will allow this to go down quietly. He warned that this kind of action by Ben & Jerry's is anti-Israel, is anti-Semitic, and could be in flagrant breach of anti-BDS law. So this is one we're going to follow very, very carefully. However, what it is believed is that there is a very, very strong supporter of BDS who sits on the board of Ben & Jerry's and has been pushing for this kind of reaction from the company. However, Unilever have released in their statement their commitment to staying in Israel. What we can tell you is that temperatures are soaring here in Israel. Ice cream is a hot favorite, but will it be any Ben & Jerry's flavors? That remains to be seen. In other news, very, very sentimental, the IDF, joined by the British Army, Hungarian Army, Croatia and Slovenian paratroopers, reenacted the historic but tragic jump that Hannah Senesh. Hannah was a Hungarian-born poet who immigrated to British Mandate Palestine in 1939. She was also a graduate of a school that was or is still run by an organization that I'm a part of, WITA. She's one of our graduates, but she joined the Haganah, which was the precursor to the IDF during the Second World War, and parachuted into what was then Yugoslavia. Sadly, en route to Hungary, where she was going to join the partisans, she was captured and she was interrogated and sentenced to death by the Gestapo, and she subsequently was killed by them as well. Well, it would have been her 100th birthday, and to commemorate this, paratroopers from the IDF, joined by those armies, reenacted that historic jump. And I urge you to check out a very, very famous poem by Hannah Senesh called "Blessed is the Match." And our final story is one we're following up from a few days ago. We spoke about how Human Rights Watch's head or director, Kenneth Roth, tweeted out a horrific tweet where he basically blamed rising anti-Semitism and focusing on the UK on the Israeli government. Well, he has also tweeted that he has now removed that tweet. He said it was misinterpreted as being anti-Semitic. Well, Ken, it could be because many of us saw it as anti-Semitic. Would you blame the victim of a horrific rape for her rape? Would you blame the LGBTQ community for their persecution? Why single out the Jews? Well, he's deleted that tweet, but he has done so without any acknowledgement of the pain and the hurt that he has caused the global Jewish community, or any kind of apology. But don't worry, Ken is really, really obsessed with Israel and seems to have gone on an absolute tirade, tweeting nearly 15 tweets in the last 24 hours that are Israel related. Could it be you're obsessed, Ken? Well, one thing's for sure, that this is hurting Human Rights Watch's ability to be taken seriously as a human rights organization. So those are our top stories making headlines here today in Israel. Don't forget, we have original content online virtually every single day on our website at www.layoftheland.online. You can read an article there by me called You Don't Look Jewish, and it's all about the almost sexual and also sexist element that Jewish women are facing online when it comes to anti-Semitism. It's up on our Facebook page. If you like our content, don't forget to share it, like us, follow us as well. We're also on YouTube. Our channel is The Israel Brief, and we would love it if you could be a part of it by clicking the red subscribe button. And we're on Twitter. You can find us at Lay of the Land 5. So if you're on Twitter at this very moment, look for us at Lay of the Land 5, our logo like that, and click on the follow button. So with the Wednesday edition of the Israel Brief, I'm Rolene Marks, and we will meet again to discuss those top stories, this time tomorrow.